I'm here with Thomas, founder of Zen Republic, which is a Web3 games and entertainment studio. And we're going to chat all things Web3 gaming and NFTs today. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure being here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you as well. I guess, of course, the first place we should start is if you can share a bit about what Zen Republic is and what you're working on there.
For sure. So I would like to start by saying Zen Republic. We have started our work in 2020 as a VR game studio. I was then studying computer science, and I was highly fascinated with VR. Um, but then after kind of a couple years working with VR games and seeing how it's not really getting into the mainstream, and I'm still the weird guy who's like doing some things that nobody's hearing about because nobody has a VR headset. Uh, I got deeper into like this rabbit hole of VR and discovered metaverse. And I thought metaverse is where we're gonna live. Then and after that, it kind of developed into NFTs, like the items and everything, the avatars that were gonna be in the metaverse are all gonna be NFTs. So I kind of went deeper and deeper and just decided to kind of make a switch from VR to Web3 because Web3 is more easily accessible, as in accessible in the terms of experiencing things. Because even though Web3 requires like wallets, stuff like that, it's still much easier to access than the VR experiences with VR headset only. So I just decided to kind of make that switch, still being in mentally in my mind being years ahead of the world and trying to kind of the kind of build the new metaverse world from the barracks of NFTs and Web3 while having VR somewhere in the back. And later down the road, when both of these industries are no longer small bubbles, I'll try to combine them into something very beautiful, which still haven't got a clue what it is going to be exactly, but I have some glimpses. And what we're working on right now is basically trying to innovate with games, trying to make with games and other like entertainment experiences. Um, Mainly, I'm trying to make games and experiences that are not just games, but things that get communities or members of people to communicate and bond together. This is kind of, let's say, our main motive right now, is to try to figure out ways for people to make bonds between each other, so that the NFT market, Web3 market, wouldn't be just about money and floor prices and scams and things like that. So I want to get culture. I want to how should I say? I want to make sure that the NFT market, Web3 market, is not about money, but about a culture as well, and that's not being expressed as much. So I'm trying to take that on with Zen Republic.
Got you. I'm curious with your background, what was your take very briefly on the new Apple device, the one that goes over your eyes?
Oh yeah, I watched it all. I watched it all.
Yeah.
Was really curious on what's it gonna be, and to be honest, I was kind of underwhelmed. Um,
Mm,
when I was reading up the news before the VR headset even hit, there were kind of speculations, right? At first, it said, "Oh, it's gonna be like the world-changing device. It's gonna be like we're all gonna live in metaverse," right? And then it downgraded with speculations. It downgraded to something which I was really looking forward. I knew this was not going to be anything super extraordinary, but the downgrade seemed like a very cool device. And the speculation said that iPad everywhere. You just have your glasses and you can just have
mm,
iPad on any surface. So you wouldn't need to carry your own iPad. You can just, whatever you want, you can just have a screen where you can touch things, right? On a table, on the
mm.
wall, anywhere. And that seemed to me like a very cool device, which makes sense to have, right, on your eyes instead of physically on you. And I was really hoping this would be the case, but turns out it was just big old glasses with a charger. You still have to have a wire that goes to the
A big
charger on your
cable.
pocket.
Yeah.
And I just thought that's not it. Of course, I know that knowing Apple, they're gonna make sure that UX is gonna be perfect. And what I'm thinking is that that device is gonna be more for production. That means tools which lets creators do things. For example, sculpting in VR, doing animations in VR, and they're gonna make the process such that it's gonna be easy to record, easy to share, and that will get people to really acknowledge the power of VR and get others to buy in for the next generations. And I think now is going to be all about being a creator in VR is cool, right? Making content in VR
Mm,
is cool, which has been cool for years now, but people outside of VR bubble don't know about it. I think Apple can make sure that this gets noticed. Like making content in VR, 3D content, making it in VR is much more intuitive than like Blender or whatever software that you're only looking from one perspective of 3D at one time. In VR, for example, if you're sculpting, you can just kind of look around, right? You can just kind of see
mm,
everything. You feel like you're working with a 3D piece of whatever you're making, you know.
object. Yeah.
So yeah, so this is what I'm thinking. Apple will this will still be a revolution, but not the way people imagine it to be.
I wonder if I could take the other side here and it just becomes like a expensive status item that people have and they just watch Netflix on it or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, what should
Yeah,
I
yeah,
watch on my Vision or whatever, you know, like
yeah.
the
So I think
promise is of course.
this is gonna be I think that the thing that cool guys, cool creators are gonna be like the ones sharing
Mm,
things and being cool, right? And the others will just want to have a bit of a spotlight, right? Just buy it off, make
yeah.
one sculpt, and then spend their days on watching Netflix. I do think this is the way, right?
Yeah.
First, you need to get the creators so that
Yeah.
creators can persuade consumers to buy the product as well.
Yeah, yeah. If you look at like the long trajectory of sort of MacBook Pros, for example, they used to be seen really for like artists and designers and etc. And now it's like general purpose, kind of pound for pound, one of the best laptops you can have, really. Okay, so that diversion aside, can you just tell me a bit about, um, I guess, so the thesis for Zen Republic was really around connecting people, right? Is that how you would summarize it? Was that why you formed Zen
Yes.
Republic?
Yeah. I mean, when I first started, I still didn't know about this mission. I was just
Mm,
a young, naive guy. I'm still young and still naive. But when I first started, I was just that I want to do cool things. I want to make games, right? Because I was very big on gaming, and I knew after trying out VR for the first time, I was like, the gaming is dead. I want to make cool games and explore this new medium of VR. This was kind of my idea, is just to kind of to go and experiment, right? But now with Web3 and NFTs, what I see is that there's people are always talking about communities, right? Community this, community that. We're all getting together for some goal, for something, right? And it's not really a place for gamers right now. It's more about like just kind of connections, right? Connections, knowing where to make some money, right? And but I talked with a lot of different communities on how do you get your communities to form, right? What kind of method do you use for a community to form, so you become friends in something? Every single one in some way have some sort of gamification. um, and the problem is basically that we have our own NFT collection. This blockchain is whole big database, right? Which games, applications can all use the same information, right? So and those communities, they're still using old methods of playing some Discord games, going on a poker night, things that
mm,
everybody from outside Web3 can do. And so that makes it kind of boring, like you feel like you're into NFTs, you join some community by buying NFT, and you feel like this is going to be a place where you experience Web3 things, right? Everything Web3. And then turns out you're playing
mm,
some Web2 games to bond. So it doesn't have the same effect. And I want to try and
mm.
see how to make it, how to integrate gaming, not as a Ponzi scheme that you can just play every day and try to flip some tokens, right? But as a means of both educational value, right, and the bonding value. Because I still think that a newcomer to NFTs, by clicking some things, pressing this, pressing that, going play, claiming some reward, right, they still learn without even thinking about that they're learning about how Web3 works. So this is,
Mm.
yeah, this is kind of what's on my mind right now.
Okay, yeah. I mean, anyone who grew up playing video games, especially online, I think will resonate with that idea of bonding with other people through the digital platform, whether that was like Counter Strike or World of Warcraft or whatever. I'm sure people will remember making some friendships there. So speaking, zooming in on the GameFi or Web3 games or whatever we're calling it today. Um, There was a big moment with Axie Infinity, like maybe a couple of years ago. There's been Steppen had a big moment. There's been like some big successes, but they don't seem to last for a long time. Do you have any ideas around like why we haven't created sustainable Web3 games yet?
I think it's just a matter of simplicity. I mean, I played myself some Steppen. I didn't play Axie Infinity myself, but I just watched some tutorials and like saw like the Ponzinomics behind Axie Infinity, right? So I just watched some of those
Mm,
things to know what not to do, and like it
mm,
all comes down to it being too of a simplistic model. And it's understandable considering that making anything on chain is difficult, time intensive, right? And
mm,
the attention span of people is very quick, right? They get on from one thing to another very easily. So, and if you make some complex game with complex economics, which would be able to manage, right? Which would be manageable in some way to the it it's not viable right now to make that kind of game because when people join in they want to instantly see if this is a game that can make money, that can be
mm,
i- i- that can be worth your time, right? Instantly, if you see like it's kind of boring, you need to learn, you need to understand how economics work, right? Then you move on to some other thing. I think that in part that is because there's not really gamers in the market. People who game,
yeah.
they go just buy some game from Steam or some like cheap key for $3 to get some like, some great quality AAA game, right? Gamers do those things, and and for and for us for Axie Infinity for the Steppen, I only played Steppen because I saw that it was crazy. You could walk for 10 minutes a day to get what $100, right? So that
Mm,
was crazy when it like, and then when it got to $10 a day, I would then got bored. I was like, I'm not walking 10 minutes for just $10, right? So I mean, this was not a game, and Axie Infinity is not really a game. Um,
mm,
so that's what I'm thinking. It's just kind of a simplistic model which can only last up until there's new people coming in and buying NFTs from the floor. So I think those are just kind of simple schemes that just had like their moment. People just hype them up after getting a lot of axes, after getting a lot of those boots, right? And they say hype, 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 and then goodbye to you guys. Get the rest of the scraps while the game is dead. So what I think. What's gonna be the way to get both Web2 people in and make sure that game economy is strong? I think what we need to do is for a Web2 game that's been lasting for a long time. I'm seeing RuneScape. I'm seeing RuneScape everywhere. Like every people, all the
mm,
people in Web3, they're always using RuneScape as an example. And I think RuneScape can
mm,
actually pull that off. They want to stay relevant, right? So I think a game which has lasted for countless years, who have team, who has a full team of economists, right? Who know how to manage the assets and stuff, right? They need to say in some way we're turning to Web3 now, right? The new items that are going to come out, they're going to be NFTs, right? And I think it should be like this kind of a gradual change to with Web3, which is going to get which is both going to educate Web2 people, right? And for Web3 people is going to just be a proper kind of economic model which wouldn't take now 5 years to develop, right? Nobody wants to invest now in a game which would take 5 years to develop, right? So
mm,
I think this is kind of how we make the tokenomics viable is by finding some MMO game and trying it out on them on some brave MMO game which is dying out but doesn't want to give up and say, hey, it's
mm,
time you move to Web3. So we need some proper influencers who can come and influence them to try out the Web3 way and get the new players in, or should I say? And actually, with that being said, I think MMO, this is how MMO genre is gonna have its renaissance, or is the next wave, because people have stopped playing MMOs, right? MMOs used to be a very big thing. Everybody
mm,
used to play MMOs, right? Instead of now these kind of tournament type of games like Fortnite and Dotas and League of Legends.
yeah.
It all was about MMOs 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it seems like people
EverQuest, this kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And it seems like people just kind of after a while they see that their time is not worth it, right? It's a big grind, and their time is
Mm,
not worth it. And if we introduce the crypto economics right into it, that you can just grind for however much time you want, and then you can actually sell your items to buy items for in another game. So when you start playing another game, you're not starting from scratch, right? Your time has been
mm,
valued as much as the game is popular. That's going to be your value of your time. How well did you select a game to play and stuff like that. So I think MMOs are gonna come back through tokenomics like that. And also with MMOs, it's gonna turn into like the VR mode, the metaverse, and then we're gonna be like, instead of living in this earth, there's gonna be a bunch of different alternative worlds where one person is gonna be working as a dragon slayer. Somebody's gonna be working as a proper job as a Pokemon trainer, right? And there's gonna be a blurred line of what is a real job and what is not.
Mm. There's a lot in there. I mean, firstly, one thing that I get struck by is just this interesting dynamic where gamers are very happy to pay for a game or to buy cosmetics and items inside the game and have really no ownership over them at all. But they're very happy for this experience. But then, in the flip side, if the game can actually make them money, they're very fickle and very quickly move on or expect a large amount of money, or you know what I mean? So it makes sense the way that you explained it, that essentially the games we've had so far just haven't been fun enough or intriguing enough for
And not
gamers to
complex
actually
enough.
want to play.
They don't have that lore that could like last them for being around for
Yeah.
years, you know?
Yeah, you look at something like League of Legends. You know, it's packed full of lore. There's a huge like skill level to the game. You
Hmm.
can really become like a master at the game. And I think there's no crypto games that I'm aware of that actually have like a high skill cap. It's mostly just like, you know, kind of an idle gaming kind of thing. Um, and then the last thing I want to pick up on is that idea of like having a universal, say, it's almost like a universal account, isn't it? Like similar to Steam, but it would be your crypto wallet with regards to games, and then you kind of have these universal items. And what's really exciting about that and interesting is it the incentives are very nicely aligned around trying to discover hot new games, because you're actually financially rewarded in a sense for, you know, grinding some cool new indie game, because as it then blossoms and gets big, you know, then your time and effort is actually, I mean, and also your enjoyment, hopefully, which is what we need to get to, is actually like even more beneficial, right? So that's a really nice sort of uh, alignment of incentives there to help people trying new projects and new games.
I
Um,
think also achievements is
mm,
also a nice thing. As achievement as a global NFT, it can be something like your whichever game, let's say, you completed, or whichever game you've got achievements for, it's part of your personality. So let's say Twitter, let's say, introduces NFTs, like your showcase your badges or something, right?
mm,
And if you got, let's say, some achievement that you've beaten Ender Dragon in Minecraft, right, or something like that, you feel you're proud of it, right? And you feel like this is part of
mm,
who you are, and you are able to show it because you have an NFT of that achievement NFT. You can just put it on your metaverse house on the wall, on your Twitter page as one of your badges, right? So it's kind of like it has the an additional value to you playing. It's not about the game you play, but it's about what other people you can meet because you have played this game, right? Uh,
mm,
for example, I know that if I played a lot of Pokemon back in the day, and I know if I meet some person right now, just going out, some conference or whatever, we go talk, and he says he played Pokemon. I feel like I have a lot in common with him, right? I feel like we're a little bit a similar type of person, right? We can relate to each other at least a bit because we used to like the same game. So I think
mm,
NFTs can help out with that as well. Like even single player games
mm.
could have the achievements, which is like if you get some achievement from the game, you're globally now kind of confirmed that you have experienced this game, and this is what makes you you.
Mm. That feels like it could almost extend to DeFi and social apps as well. If you had some kind of universal achievement, you know, you did this amount of like volume or whatever, then and you can look at someone's achievements, you can get a pretty good sense of like what their interests are and maybe what their yeah what kind of games and levels they're playing at, not just in sort of inside gaming, but inside you know, finance and social. Um, like we spoke about the, I guess, failed. I don't know if failed is the right term, but not very like sustainable games that before. Is there any examples currently in the Web3 gaming area where we can see like a successful game which is sustainable so far that you can point to?
Um, I don't really know. There is one game by my, let's say, acquaintance or or a friend, let's say, I know, called Spaceman Dev. We've been talking about this game for a while. Before he made it, we had a call to discuss it. It's called Pockets, and it's a very interesting concept. And I think this is what the Web3 games should focus on. And so the idea is basically it's kind of an RPG game, right? Which you play. We didn't agree on one thing. He decided to go another way, but I'm still trying to convince him to go the other. But basically, in that RPG, you're playing as a faction. You join with your character. You join as a faction, so you can like choose out of different NFTs that are available, like Mad Lads, Famous Foxes, right, or something like that. And
Mm.
you can use that as a character, and you can join with your NFT into a faction. And the faction can have multiple different NFTs, and then you're getting resources together. You're like um, making sure that your faction is strong with resources and land, right? And doing like
Mm.
governance and missions. So, but I think this type of game would be like it's already like it's in the early alpha, right? But it's already proven to kind of work in some way. But what I would like to say is, since we have this whole infrastructure of NFT collections, right? Those could be the guilds. So an RPG game where, let's say, some collection, some NFT collection joins as a guild. So there could be a guild of Mad Lads, guild of Famous Foxes, guild of Galactic Geckos, and you name it, right? And
Mm.
that would do two things. One is it can encourage cooperation between community members, so
Mm.
they would feel like this game is made for them, even though the game is just made by somebody else, right? But they were allowed to have a club. They were, let's say, whitelisted. Their collection was whitelisted, and now they have their own little guild. And nobody else who doesn't have an NFT cannot touch that, let's say, land, right? Or cannot make it foster, right? So I'm sorry, it lagged for a little bit. I hope that
Oh, I can
everything
hear
is
you fine.
okay. Okay, whew.
Yep.
Yeah. Uh, so it's kind of like a white label type of game, right? Where only those who have the NFTs are able to work on that land. That means you can have cooperation between the guilds. So you can have go into your own Discord channel because you already have your channels where you communicate, and you can talk about the strategies. Hey, did you hear about this game? Right? We can work. We can try to go into the leaderboard. We can prove that our community is very strong strategically, right? Because we're
Mm.
working together and we're going to the top, right? So cooperation between community members and competition against other communities. What I see people are having it wrong, for example, with NFT games. They're making an NFT collection where and splitting into the factions, the NFT collection itself. So not only are you kind of
Mm.
gating access, but within gated access community, you're splitting it in more pieces and fractioning it even further to create this kind of game feel. I feel like we should do it, as I said, the other way around. Make communities, existing communities, compete with each other, right? To prove that they're worth in some way. So one community may be, let's say, very good with gaming, right? And this is how they can get known, right? This is how community makes sure that their logo is being seen, right? If we do well in this game, which is very popular, we're gonna go to the top, and we're gonna make sure people see this community, and maybe they'll go to Magic Eden to Tensor to buy the NFT and try to join, right? Because they see this is the fact result of us being working together, right?
Mm.
Being in the top shows the strength of a community. I think this is what a game
Mm.
should be like, you know, a game which uses the existing infrastructure of the NFT market to try and get people to cooperate and compete. And
Mm.
I think this type of game would be very very right in this market. Especially that game shouldn't require. So I'm kind of like talking about the pockets game in a sense, right? But it's just
Mm.
something I'm also thinking maybe as a competing project. Maybe I would like to join pockets as well because I know that that guy is really thinking the same way as me. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, so basically this is, I think, what's the right game to make. Also, that game shouldn't be anything that uh, requires a lot of time. It should be something that you just go on the game, and every day you make a couple of on-chain transactions. Let's say I want to plant a seed here, I want to do this, I want to vote for this, right? And you're done for the day. You feel like you're a gamer, right? You feel like you're part of this club who care about thing, right? And you didn't have to game, you didn't have to play a long time to be a gamer, and you feel like, oh, I had a very nice time with a couple clicks. So I think this is kind of the start. You can get any person who hasn't really played games to say, hey, you might not be a gamer, but please go there, click a couple of buttons with your NFT as a character. You're gonna help us immensely, right? And they feel like they're part of
Mm,
the group then. So yeah, that's kind of a long answer, but I think this is, let's say, the right type of game to make when there's not really gamers in the economy.
got you. So you see it being more valuable to sort of bring non-gamers in rather than trying to convert existing gamers, for example, to like a Web3 game.
Yes, from my from my experience at least, because I'm too small of a fish to try and get Web 2 gamers into Web 3, right? I would
Yeah,
need
right.
years of education, and years of educating, getting, I know, known in those spaces, right?
Mm,
So I think it will go much faster if Web 2 giants are convinced to try out Web 3, right? For example, Habbo Hotel was a very popular metaverse back in the day, and to survive, they now made like, a brave choice to turn into Web 3, and now they're making their own NFT hotel. It was not like
mm,
the very popular game, but I've been playing it for years. So, and there's a lot of people who are really kind of really spend their time there. So
yeah.
so I think for me as a Web3 native, right? I've been around for a couple years. I think our job is to try and make the Web3 experience of gaming um, easier, and just try to make more experiences for this limited niche audience, so that when Web2 giants bring Web3 people in, they will see, oh, I want to see what else is cool, right? Because this is just, in the RuneScape I can only have my NFT as an item and that's it, right? But I feel like this technology has got lots more to offer, right? So this, there would be me and other indie devs who are um, working to progress the technology further, right? And see what kind of ways NFTs and these blockchain transactions could innovate games with. So we would be like the ones, like let's say, if Web2 people are kind of like watching the Hollywood movies, right? uh, and then they get bored of it and they're like, okay, where can I watch some Norwegian movie, right? Some
Mm.
Norwegian uh, I don't know how to call it, like gourmand. I don't know what the word is. Uh,
They often have like murder mysteries and sort of serial killer, like pretty dark,
yeah,
dark
but what I
movies
mean
and
is like,
TV.
it's just kind of like you want to get like more into. I cannot remember the word, but like you want to be like more exclusive, right? I don't want to watch Hollywood movies. It's for the
Mm,
news, right? I want to go
mm,
deeper into like the and be cool in that space. So I think this is where we come in, and we need players right now as testers. So our ways to try to convert non gamers to gamers in for to do at least a couple clicks.
got you, got you. And the term of play to earn, do you think that is that dead? Like, do you think in the next, say, if there's an X bull run, do you think we'll still be talking about play to earn, or will we have moved on?
Oh yes, yes, for sure. Play to earn, dead as can be. It's just
Dead.
not a good way to get people in.
No.
Wherever you see it, you know this is not gonna last a long time, right? Play, if you make
Yeah.
a game play to earn, this is just kind of casino with more steps. Um,
Mm,
so I think, like, at least you can say play and earn, right? There's just at least something.
yeah.
It cannot be just to earn. It needs to be a game. It needs to be fun, and then you can add some ways to incentivize, right? But it cannot start with economics. The game cannot
Yeah.
start by saying uh, the new Web3 play to earn game, right? If you start by play to earn, you know that this is not going to be about the game. It's going to be about the tokens of the game.
Yeah, and I think that term single-handedly has a lot to do with gamers, like real gamers, turning their nose up at crypto because, if you're a real gamer, you love gaming, and you see play to earn, it's like you've just ruined gaming for me. You know what I mean? Like now I'm thinking about earning money when I should be enjoying the game. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and how about and I mean another angle of monetization was having virtual land and selling blocks of land, etc. Do you think this is dead as well, or will this also have a revival?
This will have a revival for sure. Land is very
Yeah.
very important, because with
Mm,
land, user generated content, it, possibilities are endless.
mm,
I think if you find some place, I don't really know which right now. For example, I know on Ethereum there were a bunch of like sandboxes and stuff like that where you can buy
mm,
different lands. I don't think those are where we're gonna be living, right? but I still think people should keep their eyes open for lands. If they see some platform where they think it's gonna hit, investing in land is gonna be a very smart choice, because with buying land, if it's some sort of a metaverse type of experience, you have user generated content, meaning that if you own a land, you can place, let's say, your models from anywhere you have. You can hire some Fiverr artists to make you some models, right? And you can just basically I don't know, invest in some architecture in your plot to build, let's say, some gallery or whatever. Let's say you're an artist, right? You bought yourself a piece
Mm,
of land somewhere where there's like action, where other people are making things, right? I invest in some galleries. Somebody comes and builds me a gallery. I go and place some of my artworks there, where people can, with one click, they just can go press and buy my artwork, right? So it's kind of like investing in your own website, right? And that land is like investing in website which is tied to some other places, right? So when people with their VR glasses, they want to like go and see like what, maybe there's some theater going on, right, with some VR live actors. Maybe there's some I don't know, some Counter Strike session going on in some one plot of land, right? Whatever kind of people can make with their minds. For example, in VR chat, there's so many fun games and things that people are doing. And they're decorating the rooms in various ways. They're doing like live shows, theaters. It's all very cool. And so, and I think land is going to be very important. And especially if you get land in the right place, you can then split, let's say, land in, let's say, four places, build some infrastructure and rent to other artists. For example, I can make like four different plots and say, hey, I built out those galleries for you. You can sell your things here or whatever, and just pay me like some X amount of money per month. So if you just kind of like, if you see it right, if you see like the future of metaverse, the land is really the way to go. And I think like it's better than owning any type of other NFT. I'm very big on land. Not right now,
okay,
but in the future is going to be big.
got you. Yeah. I completely faded the whole land trend in the last bull market, and I still just need to see a game that actually has a lot of users. And then, I mean, the land as like a primitive makes sense to me, but I just haven't seen like an actual use case, not a use case. I haven't seen an example where I would get excited enough to actually want to buy some land and get involved. Because most of
Hmm.
the metaverses I tried, they were very sort of empty, and it needs to be the opposite, right? You need to feel like you're missing out if you're not in the metaverse. And they always felt like, oh, this is cool, but like there's not many people here.
I think
So I guess,
where it's gonna make sense to buy land is, for example, if we're here in the internet, right? We're just bunch of
mm,
different windows where we're going from one window, from one tab to another, right? If
mm,
there is some global standard of a 3D internet, right, where you're just going through the worlds, right? Nike can have their own land, right? A website could be your land where you just add things, right? In that
mm,
sense, when we have some open standard, owning land would be something like buying hosting your own domain,
mm,
right? I think it's going to be as important as having a domain if there is like some standard. So of course, if it's just like some random game, buying land in it is crazy risky investment, right? But if there's like
mm,
some standard, or at least a glimpse of, you see that this can become a standard, I think this is kind of like investing in one.com, or something like that, like
mm,
getting the best land as soon as possible. Because if we move,
yeah.
I really believe we're gonna move from flat tabs to worlds, to working through the different worlds. It's just much more interactive, much more immersive, and just kind of, it just makes a lot of sense. So I think this is where we would need to buy lands. It's kind of like the new domains.
What do you think on this topic? I guess a slightly related area is I'm very excited by AR because I find that having the goggles over. I used to have a PlayStation VR, and I found like the goggles over. It was very impressive, but I just didn't like to spend very much time with the goggles on. But I imagine more like having glasses and then overlay. Say, I have an NFT on my wall that I see when I have my glasses on, or just all sorts of different like environmental indicators, like almost like a heads up display, like in a video game. Tell me the temperature, like what's the air quality in the room I'm in, etc. This seems like a really natural kind of click moment for me, and also a really natural click moment for NFTs because the overlays you have, and especially if it is then visible for other people as well, it really makes a lot of sense from the status object, from having this sort of monetizable object perspective. Really makes a lot of sense when you have like a networked AR items or collectibles.
Yeah. So for AR, I think definitely AR is gonna be the precursor to VR. I think AR is gonna
Mm,
spark um, people wanting to get a VR. Um, something like, let's see some kid play some Pokemon Go on AR glasses.
mm,
They see some Pokemon walking past, right? But because with AR, like it can be like not as processor heavy, kind of like laggy. You have some weaker, it's going to be like even less. And like it would say, hey, my friends are playing fully virtual reality where they're even in a different land. You don't need to walk out to walk in this kind of laggy Pokemon running around, right? You can go in fully into multiplayer metaverse, throw the Pokeballs around, right? And mom,
mm,
please, can I have a VR headset for Christmas, right? So I think the AR could be like just kind of a you have mobile gaming and you want to take the real deal, so you buy a console. So I think this could turn
mm,
to VR. But for AR, sure, we're gonna move definitely from phones to AR. Phone is already a thing that we feel like it's part of our body. If we go anywhere
mm.
without a phone, you cannot go anywhere without a phone. You're totally
Yeah,
naked.
yeah,
So glasses is just kind of from having things separate that you can put in your pocket and you have an additional impulse. Like it takes time to get to watch the information. You need to get it and see it, right? And then you're not
mm,
focusing on what's happening around. So it just
yeah,
makes perfect sense to move to glasses where it's always on you, or you always see the
yeah.
notifications pop up. You can always see go drive on the road. You see the where you have to go. You see it in red. The Jeep.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it just everything's on you, right? All the information you have on your phone is just on you. It makes perfect sense, and especially with NFTs, for sure. For example, see this painting right here, things like that.
Yeah.
You want to move somewhere. It's such a nuisance getting these things off, drilling the holes in, and just placing things around. This would make so much sense if you can just kind of with your AR, you just map. You join on your Wi-Fi, right? You map your room
Mm,
once, walking around. It's all fully mapped, and then you just place the
yeah.
NFTs wherever you feel like it. And when your friend joins in
Yeah.
with their AR glasses, they join in on your network of Wi-Fi, and it says, "Hey, uh, room found, AR room found. Would you like to join in?" Yes, sure. Join in, and you see on the walls, on the same places, you see all the same NFTs that the person has, right? And
Yeah.
if I see it right here, if you see it right here, does it really not exist? Like, is it
Mm.
virtual if we both see it at
It
the same
exists in
place
your
and we
wallet.
all? This is not a hallucination, right? It's not my hallucination. We're both
Yeah.
in the same hallucination. Even now, right now, we're in the same hallucination, and we call this reality just because we see it the same way, right? Our eyes have evolved to see things the same way, right? So we're just
Mm,
in the same hallucination. So if we both see an NFT, it's as real as anything.
mm,
So of
yeah.
course, those people without AR glasses would think that you guys are weirdos. You're looking at that wall and saying, "Whoa, this is so cool," right? But but
Yeah.
but yeah, I really see it. I really see like this is gonna allow us to drop so many things, like buying TVs, buying different screens, buying a lot. You can just kind of make your life so much easier, right? By just simulating things that are around, right? You don't even
Yeah.
need, let's say, some, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't even need some lamp. Maybe you can just kind of um, li- uh, add some fake lightning, right? When you map out,
Yeah.
you can light up
It's
the space. Would it be possible? I wonder. If, like, just
yeah, it's
lighting with
interesting, isn't
fake
it?
light.
I mean, even like imagining having, say, like pot plants or something, or flowers, in your apartment, having plants around your apartment. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you get to a point where it's a bit like the Matrix, when he has the steak and he's like, I know it's fake, but it tastes better. Like maybe it'll be the same with glasses on. You know that your room looks like shit without glasses on, but when they're on, it looks great. So
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I
It's
mean? It's a
Yeah, because you don't
yeah,
even know what it's like. For example, I didn't even know what it's like not having a phone. So I think the
yeah,
same thing is gonna be with glasses. Even me with regular glasses, I don't know what's it like not having glasses, like walking around, right? So it would be the
yeah,
same thing. Your plans would be as real as anything. Of course, when you go to sleep, you take them down. You say, "Oh my god, my room is so empty," right?
yeah.
But
True, true,
but you wouldn't
true.
care because that's how you just
But
spend
then
your
we
day, right?
have the implants and the contact lenses, and then you'll never have to get to reality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
So
kind of scary and exciting. It's interesting future that we're looking at. I'm curious, as we um, close up on the gaming, do you see traditional gaming having any kind of threat from Web3, or is it a natural evolution at some point? How do you see that dynamic?
Yes, definitely everything is gonna move to Web3. It's just inevitable. This technology changes all the sectors. It's not just gaming, right? It's any sector you can
Mm,
think of. NFTs is just a proper way to like grant access at the like I think at the
mm,
fundamental level. What's it gonna like it's gonna be the next wave, I think, of NFTs. The first one was art, and I really believe the next wave is gonna be access, going to like to concert, going to some like private parties. Everybody just have to access with NFT. So I think it's just not
mm.
just
Like a key
gaming.
card.
Everything is gonna move to Web3 because I'm sure people say, what's wrong with my like going to shop, what's wrong with having my shop loyalty app, right? Which can like I can have like those discounts. Sure, but then people still don't really grasp that this just kind of takes everything and puts it into like the same umbrella, right? You can have like your own loyalty
Hmm.
card from some shop and then use it in some game, right? That can gives you additional discounts for some game items, right? Infinite collaborations and stuff like that. So even if like the game, at the least every game would want to market themselves, right? Now is the age of ads, right, in games. I feel like this kind of discounts from different stores would be like this would be like the nail in the coffin from for regular Web2 games. They would need to integrate Web3 in some sort of way because ad money is gonna dry up, right? As an ineffective, the percentages of who play those games, who click on those ads, ridiculous, right? So what I'm thinking is that just the same way that I just told you, right? Let's say I'm some
Mm,
clothing shop, right? I want to have some loyalty program, things like that, and I can say, hey, if you have this loyalty card of our Zara shop in this game that we have made partnership with, you can get like some special piece of clothing, right? And this could like
yeah.
say, I have some shitty game, right? It doesn't matter what kind of game I want, but I can just kind of call up Zara and say, hey, let's make this partnership. You just pay me a bit of money, and I have some items for your loyalty customers because it's all connected, right? All the NFTs are all connected in the same space. So I think it
Yeah.
just naturally is going to evolve into something like this, like marketing, game marketing, like the new type of ads is going to force people to go with Web3 if they want to survive without making money in game directly.
The the cool thing, which I think we haven't explored at all, and it's something that really unlocks with Web3 and perhaps in relation to games as well, is imagine being, say, some kind of clothing manufacturer, as you said, and you want to do actually, no, a really tangible example is how like Call of Duty does ads with like Monster Energy drink, and you can win some sort of prize by drinking Monster Energy drink and redeeming it in the game. But this kind of thing is so much easier in Web3 because Pepsi, as an example, they can see all the people who've bought, this NFT relating to this game, and they can provide discounts just for those gamers of that game. They can very easily do cross collaboration, and it's like it's not difficult at all. I'm sure that we'll have like loyalty and reward point applications and protocols that make it super easy for different companies to work together and do like cross marketing and cross promotions, which is
That
something that in the real world or in Web 2 world is not so easy. Really, I don't think it's a very easy proposition.
Yes, you need to
um
basically kind of like connect to each other, share the assets with each other, right? So it's kind of complicated. And Web3
yeah,
will be just something like, hey, whitelist this address, right? And then whatever
yeah.
whoever comes in, this way address is whitelisted, and people are gonna just load up their NFTs, those
I mean, it,
images
it
in the
would
game.
it would almost be permissionless in a sense because you could just scan all the people who have this NFT from playing this game and provide them with an offer. You don't even need to
Mhm.
do a deal with the
Yes,
game.
airdrop some token or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is really exciting. I think we're hitting time here soon, Thomas. But I'd like to get your take on sort of NFTs, I suppose, in relation to games, but also NFTs as a primitive. Like we had this big boom with a lot of celebrities getting into NFTs. We had the play to earn. I'm curious to get your sense of like, do you think that NFTs have hit some kind of wall, or like, have they already met their potential, or do you see the PFP stage that we've had as kind of like a first discovery step towards something much bigger?
Oh yeah, yes, for sure. This I think the first wave, the art wave, has done one good thing. That is like it was kind of like a very, how should I say, um, two ways. How was this expression? I forgot. But basically, there's two sides of the coin with the
Mm,
NFT boom with the art. Thing is, on one hand, it was very easy to convince people that art can cost millions, right? Because
mm,
look, you can see this. Oh, who can say this is not worth a million, right? If this is the price I want to sell and you want to buy it, right? So it was kind of very easy to. It's a very good thing that we have this kind of a boom because NFT as art. Uh, it gave it gave a lot of money from random people in Web 2. They gave a lot of money to people to build, right? Of course, majority of them just shrugged and went away with their millions, right? But some people actually stayed for the technology to try and build something. So I think even this phase of NFT as art, while it gave a lot of money for us to build, it also set us back in terms of awareness of what NFTs
mm,
actually are. Because now
mm.
when we go and talk with people around, hey, what can you tell me about NFT, right? And they say, oh, it's just piece of art, right? It's just kind of something, some image, some JPEG, right? That's what people
Yeah,
know because that's what they've been fed, right? By people insiders who wanted to raise some money. So
yeah,
by raising the money first, they set the industry back a couple years because now they need to be re-educated that NFTs are not necessarily images. The images is just the
mm,
representation, right? And this is what we need to educate on next. So for sure, we have now hit the wall because people are like, sure, NFTs are not just images; they're just some piece of code, right?
mm,
Why would I care? Why would I want to have some wallet where I have these codes, right? Even if this is kind of the wall that we're in, like why would I care about owning these things? So I think the
mm,
next step is access. When, for example, you go to some event, right, and you go to some breakpoint event, you get some Web2 people in who are like, oh, I wonder what this Web3 event. Maybe I'm gonna buy some artworks or whatever, right? Still, people will still know outside the bubble will still know about a breakpoint event, right? But only
mm,
select people will say, oh, so in the evening it's time to go party in like this exclusive Mad Lads event where you need to have a Mad Lad to access, right? And then he's gonna click with them, right? That sure, I could like buy this piece of thing, right? And then I may have some exclusivity, something to access with, right? So that it's not just it would put the sense into why is an NFT a code, right? Because people who don't really
mm,
understand about codes and stuff, it's like sure, it's not an image, it's a code somewhere in the blockchain, some address line, but what is it, right? And it will make sense where you can just go and click your phone to some scanner. It will say ping pong, Mad Labs NFT
mm,
found. You're free to enter. Then it will click, right? That this is what a code is. Like kind of like QR code, kind of like
mm,
loyalty card, right? So I think this is what we're
mm.
going. This is where we're gonna have a next boom.
Like a key card, like in games, the old games,
Yes,
you'd have
yes.
to go and get a key
Going,
card to get
yeah,
through a
going
door. Yeah,
going to some office, right? Going to your workplace, instead of having an additional card you have to carry around, it's going to be just an additional NFT in your wallet, right? You don't need different
yeah,
apps for different cards, right? Everything is just under the hood and on your wallet, on your identity. So it
yeah,
will start to make sense when people start accessing their work, concerts, parties, and games, right, and stuff like that. This is going to
yeah.
become more apparent to everybody.
Yeah, and not necessarily is it going to be linked to value. I think also that's another like another given that people have from the NFTs
Hmm.
are art. Like, oh, the NFT has to have some kind of value. It has to be scarce. It has to be collectible. It doesn't have to be. I mean, it can really just be like mechanically something that lets you go through a door or through, whatever, or
Yes,
it can
yes,
represent
exactly.
an item that you hold. Um, so yeah, and also we didn't even touch at all on real world assets, which is also interesting in relation to NFTs, but that's a whole different kettle of fish for another day. Um, yeah, thanks so much, Thomas, for coming on and sort of. I feel like there's a fire hose of excitement around Web3, around like buying land, VR, AR. I can feel the excitement on your side on these topics, and it's been exciting to chat on these topics and kind of learn, yeah, where you think it's heading. So I've enjoyed it a lot.
I've enjoyed it as well. I really like the questions. Thank you for letting me express myself.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been usually like talking just about NFTs, so really appreciate that you kind of got that side of me, the VR AR part, which I think is pretty important. I've been sleeping on it for a little while. I've been letting it go for a bit.
it's been a bit dormant. All right, thanks a lot, Thomas, for coming on, and till next time.
See ya.